You can be your own worst enemy.
I don't know how much I can say about this.
10-4 rubber duck, catch you on the flip-flop.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm director and mostly kind of design and art kind of styling for our project Star Tracker.
Hi, I'm Dan and I'm the main coder on our project Star Tracker.
The first question that I ask, and I like to ask this question all the time, is if you could sum up Star Tracker in three sentences, what would those be?
Well, I think like in one sentence we can probably just say it's trucking in space, but if we wanted to expand upon that, I guess it's a single-player first-person game. It blends kind of truck sim elements with some RPG type stuff. It's very much about hauling cargo, trading salvage, having the chance to interact with other truckers in the universe via your CB radio, and kind of basically just kind of living life as a trucker out in the space and vastness of.
I love those kinds of games where you're just doing menial everyday tasks in sci-fi settings. I've got 400 hours in Elite Dangerous, but I've never actually fired a weapon. I just haul data and cargo around all the time. So this game, from the title and the trailer and what you're saying to me now, sounds made for me. Am I reading the room right?
Hopefully you'll have a really good time then. Yeah, we definitely kind of came from that kind of background, those kind of games like Elite and Truck Sim, and you know, we really wanted to bring together like an authentic, laid-back experience, as it were. So we definitely kind of lent quite heavily into that, but there's also opportunity to kind of master the game, taking higher risk jobs if you really want to, or kind of like putting your pedal to the metal and trying to like do things crazy quick and risking life and limb. So it's kind of like we tried to make a balance and, you know, give opportunities for like a little bit more if you don't want to just chill out, or if you want a bit of a kind of palate cleanser.
Almost everything you do is going to be picking up cargo, dropping it off, making your money, investing that in your truck to make it better or faster, etc. 3/4 of what you're doing is these delivery jobs, but that's not necessarily the only thing you do in the game, as you sort of maybe gleaned from some of the extra bits in our trailer. You've got to look at your route ahead and think, well, I could go the quickest route, but that might be more dangerous, or maybe a longer route is safer, but lowers your earning. You know, there's a lot of dynamic systems, and the way you can interact with the simulation can cause some quite unpredictable things to happen, you know, some minor disasters. And the other thing is you can leave the highways and go off the beaten track a bit, and there's opportunities to find salvage and stuff like that. Yeah, it is a trucking game, but there's some extra elements in there.
There's quite a substantial amount of job types, so hopefully there'll be a bit of something for everyone, and plenty to get stuck into.
I'm already picturing all sorts of catastrophes that could occur.
There's definitely like I've definitely had the case where we've got something called drive assist that kind of helps your truck correct itself and stop spinning out of control too much. If you turn drive assist off, you're obviously going to save lots of fuel with your thrusters not correcting. But if you forget to turn it back on, I've had many incidents where I've just drifted way into an asteroid field and wondered what the hell's going on, and then kind of had to auto correct, and then my engines have been a bit like cold or whatever. And it's kind of interesting. There's kind of quite a lot of micromanagement in kind of around that, kind of keeping your truck running, maintaining it, making sure you're just not messing up.
You can be your own worst enemy for sure, yeah.
You've been talking a little bit about using phrases like roads and talking about other drivers on the side. One thing that stuck out to me, especially from the trailer, was the visuals, the aesthetic of it all, and the art design in general. I love this imagery of this very contemporary truck design. Can you talk a little bit about the world that's being conveyed here through the art and the writing and things?
Yeah, I mean, like, the big rigs are obviously like kind of the star of the show, and I think we were, you know, wary coming into this kind of project that there's a lot of sci-fi games, there's lots of spaceships and things like that, and it's like, how do you set yourself aside from that? So one of our concept artists like took my really terrible white box of literally a truck with 2 thrusters on the side and turned it into this gorgeous vehicle that really kind of just helped lend itself to how we then went on to build the world. Like, it kind of was the jumping pad, or the launch pad, I could probably say there. You're in this truck, so now you kind of expect more things that kind of feel like a trucking experience. So we kind of brought in roads with road signs, billboards, stuff like that. We had to do more to make you feel like a trucker rather than just someone in a spaceship.
I read that this is going to have RPG elements, and I'm really curious to see how those are going to be incorporated into the game, how you take a truck sim with RPG progression in a way that feels natural and exciting.
I think you kind of grasped the idea. What would make the player feel like they're actually a trucker? What more can we do to sort of add to that feeling of immersion? We have some things that are a bit like RPG style skills that you unlock and level up, but in our world they're certifications. So you get certified to carry different types of cargo, whether that's like something that Dave mentioned earlier, like flammable cargo, or something that's a bit fragile, or maybe you get a certification to do much longer jobs, so you can do these epic hauls across the galaxy. Essentially, the variety of the jobs available will evolve as the player gets better. What we've tried to do is every RPG element we've added has been a natural extension of the idea of, well, you're a trucker and you're doing it for real, even if it's in a slightly unusual setting. And the other thing we've got is our CB radio. So we added the CB radio not because we wanted to be able to say we can have RPG style conversations, but because we thought CB radio is a really important part of the trucking experience. The CB radio and the conversations, that is really how you get to learn who these other truckers are and what they do. We're kind of using the story content as a way to perhaps give you a bit more in the way of slightly different mission objectives and so on. Obviously, you don't want to give away too much. Using it as a way of exploring some of the other tropes in trucking movies and so on. For example, I'm not saying this is something that's in the game, but like, Smokey and the Bandit was the whole thing about, there was a kind of a bet on, could you do this thing within this time, or bend the law a little bit? Can you get across the county line with this thing you're not meant to have? Or an aspect of a lot of trucking stories is they tend to be like capers, sort of a planning phase and some kind of scheme that's going on, and it's all about the execution of how that goes and what goes wrong along the way. So that's the sort of stories we're going to have, getting to know these people and what's going on in their lives and how you can help them and how they can help you, and that sort of found family idea.
Yeah, we were kind of treating it kind of like an anthology of short stories. So you've got like these, 5 or 6 different characters that are going to be kind of big part of like each other's kind of day to day, and you just explore, see what they're up to. It gives us an opportunity to push the game systems and the mechanics and bend the rules and kind of change expectations, and again ties into that kind of idea earlier of like kind of palate cleansing. So if you've been doing like lots of just bog standard haulage jobs, you've now, maybe you'll dip into a little story moment and just see where they've got to. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff there, hopefully, and we're having a great time writing it, and looking forward to seeing how people get on with these freelance truckers in the galaxy we've created.
Can you just give me a little feeling for how big this game's, I was going to say world, but galaxy is going to be?
I don't know how much I can say about this. There's definitely we've currently got 4 zones planned, and each one's made up of multiple sectors. So sectors are connected with warp gates, so you can seamlessly traverse from one place to another. But each of the zones are kind of got their own. They're kind of like extra layers of systems that hinder or help you, and kind of bring the kind of, not that we've got huge amounts of lore because it's kind of a more personal journey, but like you'll get a sense of what this galaxy is and why people have settled in certain places. I think one of the examples I can probably give that we haven't quite shown yet, but I'll tease it anyway. You're going to go into areas that might have, say, solar flares or storms going on. If your truck isn't kind of equipped to deal with that, like you're just, the high almighty kind of air traffic controller lot are going to be like, no, you do not have permission to go there because you are going to fry.
Dave, what you're saying is sort of making me think of something like Nomadland, where you're seeing all of these different people's stories. What are other inspirations on the game, not just the story, but maybe the look or the gameplay as well, that people maybe might not expect?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's so many inspirations. We've already touched on some of them, like, you know, Smokey and the Bandit, and like these trucking films of the late 70s, early 80s. You've got Convoy, you've got The Last of the Cowboys with Henry Fonda, and all those kind of films have a real sense of camaraderie and like against the odds, and kind of like, yeah, like Dan said, found family. But then, you know, we had other things that we started to look at. I'm a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. That does a really good job of taking this crazy sci-fi world but keeping it grounded. It's very good at feeling like these places you're visiting are very real, they're very lived in. That was quite important for us in terms of kind of how our world was going to be kind of fleshed out, and how we wanted the player to feel. Like, you shouldn't just feel you're in this weird sci-fi galaxy that you don't understand. You kind of want it to feel like it's an extension of kind of modern trucking. And then I guess, like, in terms of other games, like, you know, we've been looking all over. We grew up in the 80s with Elite and stuff, so that's obviously quite prevalent in how we've gone about a lot of systems. But there was also a lot of other games, like from smaller studios and indies, like Jalopy, Firewatch. Like, all these games do a great job of telling stories and having interactions, and kind of a bit more problem solving, and kind of relying on yourself, not being an idiot. And the actual idea of the game kind of hatched as we were kind of road tripping on the way to a rock festival. So we've spent a lot of time kind of working with some really, really good artists to do an original soundtrack. So we have our own radio and tapes where you can listen to some galactic blues and, you know, I don't know, Starburst Country. You know, we've got, like, I guess that's kind of leaning a bit into that Cowboy Bebop kind of thing as well. They had a lot of jazz, and that was kind of, it just helps solidify that kind of style and vibe that we, you know, you want of a product, I guess.
I'm gonna ask my final question. I want to know, is there anything specific that you just really can't wait to see what people's reactions are when they first experience them once the game is in their hands?
Yeah, well, we've already had some quite good reactions to some of our early builds that we've shown to people. And one of the things we've really noticed is that within a couple of minutes of picking up the game, people are already sort of talking like a trucker. They're already doing, you know, 10-4 rubber duck, and they're like, catch you on the flip-flop, and they're really getting into it. I think that's what we want from the game, and I think it's that moment where the whole vibe sort of clicks for them. They realise what it is they're playing. Seeing that moment happen is what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what trouble people can get themselves into. I've already been T-boned by another truck as I broke down outside of Warp, so it will be kind of, yeah, it'll be cool to see those kind of emergent moments a little bit from my side. Yeah, no, it's exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing what people think.
Thanks so much for speaking with me today. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, it's been great chatting.
Thank you very much, yeah.